many of you have woken up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat wondering if you've made the biggest mistake of your life starting a business? Let me tell you, I have. I've been sitting in this office at 1:47 a.m. hearing weird sounds in the parking lot, surrounded by unopened or unpaid bills. I have this untouched to-do list that is never getting done and seems to grow every day instead of get smaller and smaller. And I'm just thinking, I gave up a steady paycheck for this? Entrepreneurship sucks. Did you know that 20% of small businesses fail within the first year? And I believe that even the ones that make it past that are still wondering if maybe they should give it all up and go back to a 9-to-5. When I was 9 years old, I used to lay in bed and not dream about fairy tale princesses or unicorns. I always pretended there was a secret door in my closet and it led to this basement room that had an office in it. I do not know where this came from, but I pictured a desk and a phone with a cord. Some of you might be too young to remember that. A stapler. I don't even know what I was doing or what I thought I was going to accomplish with this, but I knew I wanted an office and I wanted to be the boss. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about why entrepreneurship can be the hardest job you've ever had and 3 ways to make it suck not quite as much. My name is Sammy Johnson and I'm a bold action coach. My mission is simple: to help women feel both seen and capable when building their dreams. My entrepreneurial path has been vast and varied. From making jewelry, I used to sit out in the heat at booths at fairs, to social media management for other small businesses. I had a lifestyle blog and event platform for women called Priority Me. And just a few years ago, I had a business partner and we developed a real estate investment firm. This has definitely been my most lucrative and successful venture so far. After we hired a coach, we grossed $500,000 in 18 months. So we were pretty happy with that. But as much as I loved real estate, the pivotal moment came for me when we acquired a women's networking group. Working so closely with these entrepreneurs just sparked a revelation in me that my superpower was helping other women and coaching them through the process of running their businesses. So do you know what's great about being an entrepreneur? Nothing. I mean, think about it. You get 16-hour work days and you feel like you're never ever doing enough and you question your life at least twice a week. But let's not forget the best part. There is no paycheck schedule. So yeah, entrepreneurship can suck. And if you can relate to any of this, if you've ever found yourself whispering, this is harder than any 9-to-5 I've ever had, you're not being dramatic. And you're not alone in feeling like this. So I'm going to talk about why it can suck so bad, and then we're going to talk about how we can make it suck less. Nobody talks about the hard part, the isolation, the imposter syndrome that we all feel. We only hear the hype, like start your own business and never work a day in your life. But here's what they don't say. Entrepreneurship is a full contact sport. So I'm gonna break it all down and hopefully by the end you have a little bit of hope. At a job, you have a clock-in time, you have expectations that have to be met, you might even have a boss breathing down your neck. There's a framework, a rhythm, and it's a safety net. But as an entrepreneur, no one is telling you what to work on or when to be there or checking up to see if you've completed your task for the day. So I'm telling you now, if you do not create a structure around your business, you are going to drown in decision fatigue. You are going to drown in decision fatigue. Most entrepreneurs don't fail because they're not talented or capable. They fail because they are overwhelmed. They're bouncing around from one idea to the next with no plan, no anchor, and no business rhythm. I've woken up so many times and thought, what do I need to work on today? And the answer is always everything. And it makes you start spinning. The other part that's so hard is that you can go entire days without speaking to another human unless you're specifically intentional about building a community. I mean, how many times have I celebrated something with my dog? And believe me, he is not my target audience. When you go from working in a buzzing office to a one-woman show with no coworkers, no team meetings, no lunches, it can be so isolating. And isolation is not just a productivity killer, it's a confidence killer. When your only feedback loop is your own brain, it can really send you into a spiral. You need to be around people who get it. People who go look at you on a tough day and say, I understand, I've been there, keep going. This one hits really hard for me. When you're an entrepreneur, you do not get paid for just showing up. You eat what you kill. And some months, you don't kill anything. When I was 9 years old, do you think I was imagining working 60-hour weeks for $0 or putting in 11 offers in 1 month and getting none of them? And the worst part is that's when you start to question everything because you're exhausted, you're broke, and you're not sure where the light is at the end of the tunnel. Yet there's this little spark inside of you that knows there's something on the other side, and you keep going. This last one is one that I have to work on all the time. It's when your failures feel so personal. If I messed up a Excel formula on a spreadsheet at a job, someone would tell me, I would fix it, I would move on. But in your own business, a mistake, a refund request, a deal that falls through, it just hits differently. It never feels like the offer failed. It feels like I failed. Maybe you think, I'm not cut out for this. Or the worst one, maybe I should go get a job. So I'd hate for you to be alone with these thoughts. I'm gonna tell you about the time I made $0 in 4 months. I was showing up everywhere, pitching, posting, creating content, making offers, talking to leads, and nothing landed. My bank account was giving ghost town vibes. I heard that somewhere. Meanwhile, bills didn't stop coming. They showed up like clockwork every single month. My stress was maxed out. And my confidence was so low. And that's when I started asking, do I even know what I'm doing? In that moment, I had to decide, am I gonna let this break me or am I gonna let it fuel me? Because this awful, uncomfortable, eating peanut butter from a jar part is what breaks most entrepreneurs. All of us want the 6 or 7 figure success story. None of us want to admit that sometimes there's months of silence and self-doubt before a win. So, you ready to talk about some solutions? I know a few. Number 1 is stop doing it alone. You need people that get you. We always wonder if we're the only ones struggling with X or Y or Z. And I guarantee, even though I don't know what your X, Y, and Z are, there are other people out there going through it. When you're isolating yourself, you get in this trap in your head that it's just you, it's just you. The people in your support system cannot be people that don't understand the roller coaster of being an entrepreneur. This journey is so unique. It's filled with extreme highs and sometimes devastating lows. It requires a certain level of resilience that most people never develop. I know your partner loves you, but if they have never built something from scratch, they're never gonna fully get it. Your friends might be great for a wine night, but they're not gonna ever understand the stress of landing page conversions or Facebook ad conversions. And how many of you have family that are still, after all these years, are confused about what you do? They say, oh, she does something with computers, or she's a real estate agent and you're a flipper. I just want to reiterate that trying to run your business alone is just a recipe for disaster. I spent my first 2 years in business trying to do it alone. It just made my confidence so shaky. When I joined an online business community for women, it changed everything. I instantly felt like I belonged. Other entrepreneurs can give you perspective when you feel stuck. They can teach you shortcuts that will save you so much time and money. And it's nice to celebrate with people who understand your small wins and how exciting it can be. The right community does not only just make you feel better, it will help you actively grow your business. You get real-time feedback from people that understand your niche or your market. You have opportunities to collaborate, and accountability always helps keep you moving forward, even on tough days. And that's why I created Ignite. It's a Telegram community where people can check in and talk about challenges and wins. And then once a week, we meet on Zoom to tell each other what we're going to do for that week and hold each other accountable. So even if it isn't Ignite, you need to be in rooms like that where women speak your language. Speaking of accountability, I don't know if you've ever heard of the freedom paradox. In general, what it means is you now have all this freedom to set your own schedule and pursue your passions and build something meaningful on your own terms. But because you don't have that external structure of working at a job, you start to notice things like responding reactively instead of proactively. Maybe postponing things that make you uncomfortable or are too hard. One thing I'm very guilty of is shifting my focus as crises come up. And then I've seen all of us do this, is you're perpetually busy, but it doesn't feel like you're making progress. So to get out of this freedom paradox of having all this freedom, but then not being as successful as you're hoping, you have to have a plan. Think about if you had an employee that did these things, constantly changed priorities, missed deadlines, avoided challenging tasks. What would you do? I feel like you would not accept this behavior from someone else. Some people can successfully shift out of this on their own, but most of us need accountability. And accountability is not about giving up control. It's about creating systems that support consistent action that drive you towards your most important goals. You need a weekly rhythm, a clear revenue goal, a system for measuring progress, and lastly, someone to call you out when you're avoiding the bad stuff. You need accountability, not the micromanaging kind, not the freedom restricting kind, but the kind that says, you told me this goal mattered, so let's make sure you show up for it. And checking your Facebook 47 times does not count as showing up. When you are accountable to someone else, something magical happens. Those tasks you've been putting off for weeks and weeks suddenly get done. Everything that felt so overwhelming becomes way more manageable. And the discipline you've been struggling to maintain becomes so much more feasible when someone else is holding space for that commitment. I've had so many past clients try for months and months to be their own accountability partner, and it rarely works. First of all, you know your own excuses and you're way more likely to accept them. Secondly, without any external check-in, it's so easy to push and push your deadlines. Also, internal accountability requires willpower, and that can fluctuate from day to day. And lastly, in moments of doubt, it's always nice to have someone else come in with a little perspective. The most successful entrepreneurs don't rely solely on their own discipline. They create systems and relationships that keep them moving forward, especially during those times when motivation is low. So if that is not built into your world right now, I would love to help you. I'm an accountability coach who specializes in helping female entrepreneurs. I realize that corporate structure does not work for you, but complete and total freedom does not serve you either. I have a wide array of accountability programs, from group Telegram all the way to checking in with me personally 5 times a week. Together, we come up with a personalized plan that balances structure and flexibility, ensuring that you're making progress without sacrificing that independent spirit that made you want to be an entrepreneur in the first place. So if you're interested, send me a DM and we'll see what works best for you. So let's move on to number 3, which is the hardest one for me, and that is detaching your worth from your revenue. It did not happen overnight. It was years of sleepless nights, maybe a few tears, and actually walking away from a business that I truly, truly loved. What happens is you have a slow month or quarter and you start to think that your worth is tied to that. Maybe you think, I'm not good enough. Everyone else is ahead of me. Or the worst one, what is wrong with me? You find yourself scrolling through competitors or peers, Facebooks or Instagrams, wondering, what magic pill did they figure out that I cannot figure out? I feel like this shame can become overwhelming in itself. You start avoiding friends and family's questions about how is it going in your business, or you refuse to invest in yourself because you believe you don't deserve it. But that is a lie. Your revenue is not your resume. It is not your identity. It's just a number. It's a metric in your business, and it certainly does not define your value as a human or your worth as an entrepreneur. There is a hidden cost to entangling your worth to your revenue numbers. You are surrendering your well-being to market fluctuations or an algorithm. I feel like you would never judge your child's worth on one test score. Yet somehow we have normalized basing our entire self-image and worth as an entrepreneur based on one metric. And if you let that number dictate your joy and confidence and energy, you will never have the stamina you need to succeed. I am not perfect and I still struggle with this, but I will say I have moments of clarity where I have been able to separate myself from my financial metrics. In those moments, I never take rejection personally. I see it as like market data. Okay, now let's go on to the next one. It also helps me experiment more boldly when I'm not afraid of the numbers and I'm just trying to grow and learn. I definitely show up way more authentically and I'm not as desperate, and it helps make being an entrepreneur more enjoyable even during those slow times. In no way am I saying that you should ignore your financial goals and not have some kind of strategic plan. It's just about creating this emotional resiliency that doesn't let us self-destruct. If only panic posting on Instagram in the middle of the night to try to make some money proved that I was emotionally stable, but alas, it does not. So let's start thinking about revenue as feedback. It tells you something about your offers, your messaging, your marketing. Think of it as a mirror, which can be kind of scary, but no judgment behind it. It reflects certain aspects of your business at a certain time. It is definitely not your entire journey or your potential. So if you have a moment that you have a trigger or something that you feel yourself going down this rabbit hole of tying your revenue to your self-worth, I'd like you to stop yourself and realize you now have tools to help shift your thinking. Things like remind yourself of the financial impact you have made in the past, celebrating other things in your business, other progress, other growth in your business besides profit, and like connecting with fellow entrepreneurs that know this whole crazy life and can reflect back to you your true value instead of how you feel in that moment. Can you imagine waking up in the morning with a renewed sense of self-confidence and passion regardless of what your bank account says? Or having this clarity about your business instead of always being panicked? I actually have a free resource that's going to help you with this, but I'm going to tell you about that later. I'm going to be really honest with you and call it like I see it, which is that the entrepreneur's path is not for everyone. It may be for you. I know, unfortunately, it's the only way for me, no matter how hard it can be sometimes. The entrepreneurial journey, it's raw, unfiltered, early mornings and late nights. And sometimes it's explaining to friends and family why you can't make it to a certain event. And they never really understand because they think you're the boss. You can leave whatever you want. You know, society and social media romanticize entrepreneurship. They emphasize the freedom, the wealth, but they always leave out the other parts. The consistent rejection, the financial instability, and the profound isolation. This life is not about finding shortcuts. It's about making bold moves, and it's about betting on yourself again and again and again. Sometimes it feels like all the evidence is pointing in the direction that we need to stop. Have I done a good job of making this seem all glamorous and fun? Oh man. So if you are the kind of person that keeps showing up even when the results are not clear, you learn from your failures instead of being defined by them, you're able to push through a paralyzing fear of judgment and criticism. You're able to navigate this tension between reality and vision, and you're able to make peace with uncertainty as a permanent condition in your life. Then you're one of the ones that's meant for this. Despite all of the challenges, despite all of the rational arguments pulling you away from this path, something keeps pulling you forward. That pull isn't random. It is not misguided ambition or naive optimism. It is your purpose calling you. The problem isn't your lack of determination or vision. It's that you've been trying to navigate this path using someone else's map. Maybe you've been following strategies that worked for someone else, but it kept leading you astray. You just need a better way, a path that actually supports you, grounds you, and brings you back into alignment. When you're aligned and your business flows from who you truly are instead of who you think you should be, everything changes. Your message lands differently. Your offers connect more deeply. Your energy becomes magnetic. And this alignment is not just a spiritual mumbo jumbo. It actually translates into tangible results. More consistent income, deeper client relationships, sustainable growth, and perhaps most importantly, the ability to build success without sacrificing your well-being. So maybe you're wondering, how can you find this alignment when you're caught in the daily grind? How can you ever reconnect with your boldest, bravest self when self-doubt and comparison are with you at all times? Especially when one is whispering, you're behind, and the other one's whispering something about another person's 7-figure social media post. But this is exactly why I created Awaken Her Challenge. It's 8 days of emails to help activate this alignment back in you. It helps you reconnect with the boldest version of yourself. And it helps you ditch that perfectionism and imposter syndrome spiral. I want to help you start showing up as the woman you are meant to be. It's really important to me that I don't add more onto your overwhelming to-do list. So it's more about stripping away what you no longer need, what isn't serving you anymore, your limiting beliefs, the energy draining habits that you've gotten into, the exhausting comparison game. And it helps you reconnect to the core of who you are and what you are meant to be doing. Right now, you do not need another course or masterclass or training. You need a spark, a reset, a realignment. So this challenge is not about teaching you business tactics or more strategies. It's about reconnecting you to your most authentic self. Because I believe when you're fully aligned, the right strategies, the right path, it all unfolds in front of you. The right opportunities find you, and the right people are drawn to you. So if this video lit something up inside of you, if you're tired of spinning and stalling and spiraling, the 3 S's, I just made that up, spinning, stalling, spiraling, then this challenge is for you. It is 8 days. It's all sent to you on email. You can start anytime. If you miss a day, it is not the end of the world. Just come back and pick up where you left off. Each day does build on the previous one, so it creates a momentum that will shift how you show up in your business and your life. You're gonna feel a real difference. I hate to tell you this, but the entrepreneur's journey is never gonna be easy. But there are things we can do to make it not such a battle. There is a way to build success so that it feels deeply aligned and fulfilling. I know there's a version of you waiting to emerge, a version that doesn't shrink from challenges but meets them with confidence, a version that never questions her worth when she's met with setbacks, and a version that leads with authenticity and not fear. Let's awaken her, a version that doesn't quit when it gets hard, the version that rises. The path of entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but I feel like if you've watched this video this far, it is for you. And you never have to walk it alone again.